Do you have a famous ancestor? If so, what were they known for? I'm related to the bald guy who posed for the American Gothic painting with the pitchfork. I looked it up, and it turns out he's my fourth cousin. Twice removed. One of my great-great-great-grandfathers was Chong Bunker, who was conjoined at the stomach to his brother, Eng. They were born in Siam, now known as Thailand, became famous for being in the P.T. Barnum's circus. The term, Siamese twins, comes from them. William Randolph Hearst, famous for being Citizen Kane. He's not extremely famous now, but my great-great-grandfather was Joe Fox. Joe Fox was a famous English boxer in the 1920s. He won a Lonsdale belt by the time he was 23 when that achievement was very competitive and, I think, he ended up winning 3 total. I remember my grandma showing it to me in a glass display box before we sent it to a museum. Johann Jakob Astor. John Jacob Astor was a German-American businessman, merchant, real estate mogul and investor who mainly made his fortune in a fur trade monopoly and by investing in real estate in or around New York City, known for first multi-millionaire businessman in the United States. Still living in his hometown, and he is still sort of getting glorified here. I'm poor though. Houdini, the magician, was my great-grandmother's cousin, not sure that is considered an ancestor. My uncle is a Power Ranger. You may know him as the Green Ranger or Jason David Frank. He's known as a Power Ranger and is working on another Kickstarter movie and even has his own karate class. I have 2. John Adams. And John Quincy Adams. Edit. My lineage apparently got around. I have an uncle who is the reason Dewey breathalyzer ignitions have a timer because he would drive to the bar and let it idle while he drank lol. She wasn't famous, but my great-grandmother was on the ship that rescued the Titanic survivors. Grandfather was the first person to be sentenced to death after Texas reinstated the death penalty in the 70s. My great-great. Not sure how many greats. Grandfather was the checkers champion of England. Edit. Herbert Forrest Morall. He won the English Open Championship in 1904. https. Imager.com, Gallery, K1TEJP3. http. www. English Drafts Association.org. UK, 7 champions, 7-1 English Open. Great-grandfather on my mom's side was a samurai. He emigrated to America because that was the point. Japan didn't need samurai anymore. I still have the family mon crest, but the sword was lost during World War II. The family that offered to look over the farm while they were gone stole it. Edit. Here's the mon. Sorry about the light, it's purple on a gold background. Related to Bridget Bishop. First woman hung in the Salem witch trials. Johann Sebastian Bach. One of his daughters married into my family, which makes him my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. My grandfather was Alfred Einstein. He was Albert's cousin. He was on the Mayflower and fell off. One of great-great-grandfathers invented the Gatling gun. My great-great-grandfather, not sure about how many greats, was one of the 112 men to write and sign my country's constitution some 200 years ago. My great-whatever grandmother was Davy Crockett's sister. Edit. To answer some common things said so far. My aunt figured it out as she had a genealogy kick for a time. We were able to verify via a Crockett family reunion, which had their family tree shared on their site, and we were able to see where my aunt kept getting stuck. His kids and his parents. And a few generations in. Crockle and his family. https. N.M. Wikipedia.org. Wiki, Davy_Crockett #family_and_early_life. This is the wiki page just because it's pretty interesting. This is a genealogy page for Davy's father. You will see he had plenty of kids himself at 8, while Davy had 6 of his own. For me, it's Davy's sister, Elizabeth, that I have a direct line to. So he'd be my uncle. I don't know, it's so much a joke to assume you're related, but that's a lot of families getting connected via Davy's dad. https. GW. Janinet.org. T. Dowling. Lang equals N and P equals John plus Wesley and N equals Crockett. Jim Bowie. Died at the Alamo. My uncle is a famous singer from Ireland. He's not big in the US but massive everywhere else. He's part of a band called Westlife. His name is Shane Phelan. He's still alive, but yeah, there you go. My great-great-uncle murdered an FBI agent and subsequently spent time in Alcatraz. He was there at the same time as Machine Gun Kelly and Al Capone. For those curious, his name is Guy Osborne and he murdered Truett E. Rowe. I found this when I was tracing my genealogy last year. I went down a long rabbit hole, but it was so interesting. He is also mentioned in a book by, if I remember correctly, Franklin Roosevelt. James Naismith, creator of basketball, was my great-great-uncle. Or half? Edit. Thanks for the upvotes and reward. Jesse James. Known for being an outlaw. Edit. Hello to all of you fellow Jesse James relations. Who knew Reddit could serve as a distant potential relative family reunion? Martin Luther. The leader of the Protestant Reformation. King Christian IX of Denmark. To flex or not to flex? I guess. With all the incest going on in that family tree. Generally, if you are in any European royal bloodline, chances are, you share blood with all the royal houses. I tried claiming I'm lost Princess Anastasia. But I think that joke's a bit old now. Edit. Bonus. My grandfather, who stems from King Christian, studied archaeology and botany. He traveled the world, found some cool stuff, some of which we still have, like a Roman vase and some haunted thing from Bolivia. And then he settled as a botanic engineer. He tended and designed gardens for the upper class and also tended the Royal Rose Gardens. Fun fact. He was a toy boy in his youth when he took care of gardens to finance his studies. But I believe it was the tips from the ladies that really helped him financially. His ex-wife, my grandma, was a designer. Her mother was the royal tailor. That's pretty cool. Her family was involved in Freemasonry. She also served as a general in the military and she fucked a Jewish scientist in France, who I'm not going to name, but some people may have heard from him, and got pregnant, and led my grandpa to believe the kid was his. This became my dad's half-brother. My only claim to fame is that my great X3 grandfather is Devil Aunce Hatfield, aka the patriarch of the Hatfields during the Hatfields vs. McCoy's feud. When the miniseries came out, all my family would gather around the TV and watch every week, haha. We also went to West Virginia to visit his grave. It was interesting. https n wikipedia.org wiki devil_aunce_Hatfield. Both Robert E. Lee and William T. Sherman, one led the Confederate forces and the other burned down Atlanta and everything in his path on the way there. Belle Starr, first woman hung in the state of Texas. Joseph Smith, creator of the Mormon Church. I'm actually through the line of his brother Hiram. But what you gonna do? My mom's cousin is Ryan Merriman. He was a Disney star and starred in Luck of the Irish, Smart House, etc. My dad isn't famous, but he met a lot of famous people. He was Wu-Tang Clan's tech guy and toured with them for a bit. He built Taylor Swift's recording studio. Same thing with Kesha, and has met Stevie Wonder several times. His ex-wife is also an award-winning Christian bluegrass artist. 2. Actually. Daniel Boone. Pioneer and explorer of the 1700s, and Rebecca Nurse. One of the women hung as a witch in Salem. Also. He's not especially famous. But my grandfather is a World War II vet who served both at Normandy and Midway. Ulysses S. Grant, Civil War general and 18th President of the U.S. Doc Holliday. He was a gambler, gunfighter and dentist. Was part of the gunfight at the O.K. Corral in 1881. H. Holmes, aka Herman Mudgett. Notorious serial killer. First known in the Western world. Had a murder hotel built. Hired and fired different contractors to conceal what was really being built. Edit. Details. My uncle, might be great-uncle, is Elvis Presley. We share my great X3 grandparents. Sadly, my family isn't close enough to know his family directly. Genghis Khan, famous for global bloodbaths. Napoleon Bonaparte, some random French guy that took over Spain. Vlad the Impaler, also known as Dracula. In his life he was a feared ruler. After that, you know the story. I'm a direct descendant of the McCoys. If you've heard of the Hatfield and McCoy feud, you know why they're famous. Edit. Holy shit. I have a lot of distant cousins apparently. Hello. Probably not as impressive as others. But my great-grandpa's family had the first bulldog in Utah. Edit. The dog's name was Buckingham Challenger. I'm related to both Lincoln and his wife by blood, and they lived in the White House. Well, I enjoy saying this only because I am related to him in the most distant way possible. George Washington is my great X7 step-uncle-in-law by adoption. Cool, right? King Edward I. Although to be fair, I have heard it is common to be related to royalty. Especially in England. Also, it's obvious what they were famous for. William of Normandy. Conqueror of England. Edit. Sons and daughters of Normandy, we must rally together and wage conflict with our rivals, the descendants of Godwinston. Like good-natured conflict though. Geronimo. I'm not sure what he's famous for, but people yell his name when jumping from high places. But seriously, he was a famous Apache leader. My family used to be something WAAAAY back in the day, since there's a castle in Wales and a basilica in Montreal bearing our name. Assuming they don't just hand those out to everyone. Somewhere along the way some asshole squandered everything before I could. Because I definitely wasn't born into a wealthy family. Leonardo da Vinci. My Nona was identified as one of his living relatives. Leonardo never had children, so they found the children of his siblings and relatives of his father's family.